Uh-huh. Microphone check. 1, 2, 1, 2. This is the Blaze the Line podcast. I am your host, Blaze. Blaze the Lion. This week's guest, as some of you can see, I will not introduce yet. Before I get into that, this month's theme. All right, September is all about the kids, right? So schooling and parenting. So you're getting two sides, the schooling side and the parenting side. So most of you will be able to relate to, if not both, at least one of those. All right. So if you are watching right now, I need you to do me a small favor. Small favor. All right. Right now, check on the YouTube channel and make sure that you are subscribed. All right. Second favor, click the like button. Even if you hate my voice and you're only here for my guests, that's fine. Click the like button. All right. If you're loving the movement, loving what the Blaze Line podcast is providing you every week, all right, if you want to send me your money, I will not say no, especially in this climate. You can send it my way. All right. Your support goes to the enhancement of the Blaze Line podcast, right? For as little as $1 a month and as high as $10 a month, you can be a monthly contributor to the Blaze Line podcast. And what do you get? You get a virtual high five. Wait, that was. There we go. You get this cool shirt. Isn't this the coolest? Look at that logo. Same. Yeah, your chest will be on fire. It's powering that. All right. And of course, if you'd like to give me more, you can see me on the street and just slide some dollar bills in my pocket. That totally works too. All right. So thank you all for tuning in to the Blaze Line podcast. So tonight's guest is quite lovely, I must say.
Thank you.
Yeah, that energy, right? All bright. I love it. Tonight's guest is a woman of many talents. So, not just a pretty face and a genuine smile, but also she's a teacher. Yes, for Kind Academy. Some of you have heard of Kind Academy. We've had a couple people here from Kind Academy. Thinking back, you've had Tamiko from Kind Academy. And we've also had the founder of Kind Academy, Iman. All right. This person is also a homeschooler, and I love that because that gives power. Many times we're just so trusting and we just follow what everybody else is doing, but it takes a strong person with strong beliefs to homeschool. And I've been meeting much more of people who have their kids homeschooled. So that's very intriguing to me and very interesting. So I'm excited to just get down and dirty and just get into it. So without any further delay, tonight's guest is none other than Bess Perry-Garcia. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I gave my brief intro about you, but share with the audience a little bit about yourself so they can get to know you.
Okay, so I am, like you said, a homeschool mom. I have 2 girls. My oldest, Eva, is getting ready to turn 7, and then my youngest, Luna, is 3. I teach for Kind Academy. I've taught for many nonprofits through, ever since I was in college. I've taught the arts. I've taught pre-K classes. My background is in the arts, so that's mainly what most of my experience is in. And with that said, I also have my own photography business. So I do lifestyle photography and weddings and love it. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Yes. So share with us how you got into teaching from so early.
It's kind of a crazy story. While I
We're
was
here
in
for it.
school, so while I was in school, my major was in fine arts. And so while I was in school, I worked at a gallery. And
Mm,
my biggest goal was to either become like a professor or just to keep working in the nonprofit side of the arts. I really loved it. I love the community outreach aspect. And a big part of the gallery that I worked at was their education program. And they were always trying to get me to teach. And I very adamantly, from the first day, said no. I was like, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not the teacher type person. I just didn't want to do it. And they asked me for months. They're like, we think you'd be great. And I was just like, no, I'm going to stick to the gallery and what I do over here. And I just had no interest in it. Tricked me. They came in one day. My director was very frantic, and she's like, "The teacher didn't show up. Can you just go in and teach the class?"
mm,
And so they were just testing the waters. Like, you did so good, and the kids loved you. And so I was just kind of like, okay. I don't know why I had this idea in my head that it was just going to be so overwhelming and crazy, but I really loved it, and it just kind of went from there. I worked for the gallery. I taught a program with at-risk kids and teenagers. A lot of them were in the foster system or had family members that were in gangs or criminal activity. So one of the things they would do with these kids is they would put them doing community work, but through the arts. Because at least for me, I felt like the arts was kind of like what saved me as a kid and kept me, from going off and being a wild, crazy teenager. And I saw so much benefit in that, and being with the kids and kind of like sharing a passion with them. It kind of just went from there. And I always stayed within the nonprofits. Then once I moved to Miami, I did the same thing. I worked with a great program called Arts for Learning, which is where more of the kind of academic side came in for me.
okay.
Arts for Learning, they use artists. They don't use like people that are trained as teachers. They want artists to go into schools, and someone with kind of more critical thinking skills or that look at things a little bit differently to go in and use the arts as a tool to teach kids. So it was really awesome, but it also kind of like threw me into the world of academics. Like, okay, now you've got to learn the state standard, what the kids have to know in kindergarten and pre-K. And, you have to start looking at all of this curriculum and all of these academic standards and try to think of different ways to teach it for kids that maybe, the usual methods of teaching it isn't working for them. So
Mm,
it's just kind of gone from there.
yeah. Huh. Isn't that life though that we don't feel that we're ready, right? We're second
Yeah.
guessing ourselves, and life has a funny way of sometimes throwing you to the wolves.
Oh, yeah. I've learned that every time I've pretty much said no in my life, God shows me very differently, and I end up doing the opposite. And you just have to go with the flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Huh. Definite, definite. Very cool, very cool. With kids, visual arts as well. Um, what experiences do you have? Because I've taken art classes as a kid, and I loved art. I don't know if it was because I was good at it or it was just easier than doing math or English. I don't know. But I always loved art until college. And then they started giving me pop quizzes and all types of stuff. But in any case, just share with us a little bit of your experience with the kids.
Well, teaching arts, I did. I've probably been teaching arts now for almost 15 years, which is it's
Mm,
insane to me once I think about it. And I've taught arts from pre-K, like pre-K 3, all the way up through the adult level. So I just feel like
mm,
the arts, even if it someone who thinks that they're terrible at art and just has, no self-confidence in it, it is such a great way to connect with people and to get people to kind of connect with themselves and slow down and kind of take in what's around them and be observant. And it's all, and in that way, it's a really great way to teach and connect with people, especially with younger ones. And it's a good tool to help build confidence. I know, like with my oldest daughter, when she first started with the more academic side of school,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of kids, it was just like if it doesn't click instantly, but then it does with their peers, she was just like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not picking up things as
Mm-hmm.
quickly? So I feel like in other ways, it was really nice to be able to build her confidence in certain things to then come back later and be like, hey, let's work on this harder thing. Sometimes they just need a little boost.
Yes, yes, yes. Definitely. I want to give a shout out to some of those in the chat. I see Nelson. I see LJ from Fire Creek Entertainment. I see Ruth. I see Sasha. This is a cool shirt, isn't it? That's what I said. It's one of the coolest shirts ever. We have Miss Starchild Social herself saying that you look gorgeous.
Thanks, Tamiko.
And Sue, are those hand claps? They look like tacos. So it is Tuesday.
It is
So
Taco Tuesday.
yes, I think she's giving you 3 tacos. All
I'll take
right.
it.
I also remember um, for those art classes were just cool, from dance to photography to even the days where we would make um, art and different projects out of like clay and just different things. I remember all that just being so fun and just so interesting. Have you heard any stories? Have you heard from any students, small or older, who stuck with it?
I have
Mm.
a lot of my students that have ended up going to art schools and things like that, which to me is it's amazing. It's kind of inspiring, when you hear back people that you taught like years and years ago, especially in the beginning where I didn't have as much knowledge and experience as I have now, and to think that you made an impact on someone, I think big it's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Teachers are change agents. Teachers change the world, and it's one of those professions that you inspire people who grow up to inspire people, who grow to inspire people, right?
It's
So,
a
and yeah, and sometimes, yes, you have that luxury of people telling you, "Hey, do you remember me? I was in your class," and so on and so forth. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't even know the magnitude of the impact that you're having on your students. I have teachers who changed my life, who I'll never forget, and I
mm-hmm.
never went back to visit them. I don't even know if they're still living. I don't know anything. But from fourth grade, fifth grade, I still remember that, and I still remember certain phrases and how they poured life into me. So it's um it's a very powerful
Yeah,
platform.
it is. It's not lightly. Yeah, it has a lot of impact on a lot of people. And I still remember very clearly teachers who made a huge impact on me, and teachers who, when you tell someone as a kid that you want to be an artist, it's like when kids say, "Oh, I want to be an astronaut." Most people are just like, "Okay, whatever." But when you have those teachers who look at you and they're like, "Okay, you can do it," like just work
Mhm.
hard. And luckily, I also had, my dad and my family. They were just like, "You could say you want to do anything as long as you work really, really hard. Then you'll do it." So
Mhm. That support, yes, definitely, definitely important. So moving into, I know I am. I'm reading the chat again.
I'm
Yes, I
reading
am always
it.
hungry.
Yeah.
Always hungry. Yes, gotta eat. Gotta eat. Gotta eat. So let's speak about a little bit of your experiences at the Kind Academy,
Yeah.
especially when some of our listeners have heard that name. Um, so share about that a little bit.
So I think I owe like pretty much my homeschool experience to Kind Academy because Iman and everyone within her community are the people in the beginning where I was like, when my daughter was young and I was facing all this pressure, like, okay, you're going to put her in school now. And I never, like, in my gut, felt like it was the best choice for her. But I kept doing it and I kept putting her in different schools and different programs and then pulling her out because of different things and just not being happy. And finally, Iman was just like, look, why are you doubting yourself? Like, you can do this, And then I see her being a business person, running her super successful business, homeschooling her 3 kids, and Kind Academy is basically where it all started for me. All the moms there too being like, hey, you can do this. It's very empowering and it's like, it kind of opens up a whole new world for you once you kind of accept it because there's so much freedom that comes with homeschooling and there's so much opportunity that comes within that, and also teaching for them, it's also a way for me to give my kids a community, I can teach a class and they can be there and see, mom teaching other kids besides them, and it's just like
Yeah.
another layer to it too.
Yeah. In the chat, does anyone homeschool their kids? Or you have any family members who have been homeschooled? Or were you homeschooled? I remember growing up in the, let's just say the 90s. It
There's a
was
stigma for
earlier than that.
sure.
And it
Yeah.
was, I rarely anybody was homeschooled. And the one kid I knew who was homeschooled, um, weird a little bit. Like we thought he was weird, but he had the best movies. He had the best video games. We used to go over there and play all the time. And
That's
I
so
always thought, like, how does he survive? What about his social skills? He's not going to school with us or whatever. But I don't know. It was very different. So I feel that now in this current day and age that there are much more opportunities, right, for
yeah.
homeschooling. And now in this COVID scenario, um, you have the option in some cases to do it through virtual or in person. Uh, so a lot more options, which is very very cool. I think.
It is. There's a lot more opportunities now, for sure. Like I never intended to homeschool. I always thought, as soon as my kids are 3, they'll go into pre-K and I'll go back to, being in my studio, making paintings and teaching in galleries, and that'll be my life and my business. I had started my business too, and was just like, things will go back to normal, like what I thought was normal. And I don't know why it never fit my family, or at least like what my kids needed. Was like, if we can do better for them, if we can create something that's more individualized to their learning style and to their abilities, and push them in areas where they can go faster, and then if other things take them longer, take the time needed where they don't start to hate learning.
Mhm.
For me, I think my biggest goal when I started homeschooling, besides like the freedom that comes along with it, was that I never wanted my kids to look at learning as like a burden or a chore or something boring, because not trying to talk bad about public schools, but we all know like it gets to a point where teachers are overwhelmed and only have so many resources, and there's only so much you can do to entertain and make something really intriguing to a group of 30 kids, and I don't ever want like my kids to lose like the passion for learning, if that makes sense, like the curiosity. And I mean, I think I'm probably kind of a weirdo because I'm the kind of person like I love to learn. I used to joke like if I could stay in college forever when it was free, I would, just because I love that. But that's something I really hope that my kids get out of this experience. And if at some point going to a public school is what's best for them, then we'll adapt and go that way. It's kind of just it's a learning experience as you go.
Yes. Yes. So let's dive a little bit deeper, especially if there are listeners out there who have questions, who are not really sure what homeschooling entails, what's it like. So share with us a little bit about um, exactly what the experience is like.
Well, I guess I can kind of go through like what a day is for us.
Okay.
So we are super, I guess, active and like social. We are out. We're usually in a different class every morning. So luckily in South Florida, I mean, there are so many resources for kids that are homeschooled. And like we do dance classes for homeschool kids. We do oceanography classes. We do marine biology classes. We do different co-ops, nature classes, all kinds of things. And so we usually go to a different class every morning, or a meetup, or, let's get together at the park before we do lessons with the kids, just so that they can see each other. And then usually it's eat with everyone there at class, come home, and then do, curriculum for the day. So whatever that entails. And, once you take out, I feel like in public school, like the day is so long, right? People don't see how that can be condensed down so easily for homeschoolers. I think a lot of people think that our kids are getting very little knowledge, but it's actually kind of like the opposite, in my opinion, and at least in my experience of what I've seen with my friends. Because, in school, it's like the teacher has to talk, and then they have to change classes, and then it's taking roll and doing this and it's the actual academic time for each class. I think I just read an article that was saying each child gets 7 minutes of individual academic instruction per class. So when you add that up, it's only like an hour and a half per day, which, if you look at what we're doing, my oldest is doing second grade this year. We do probably about 2 hours of academics a day split up, and we make it fun. We'll do one activity. Okay, you need a wiggle break. You need 10 minutes of free play. Go do it, and then come back and we'll do the next thing. And she's able to focus better than if she was told she had to sit in a desk for 8 hours. And she's able to go at her own speed, which I think is really amazing because she can fly through math, and if she gets ahead of grade level, awesome. We've been ahead for a while now. And then if she needs to take a little bit of time to understand a lesson, she doesn't feel like pressure of like, oh, my class is moving on, but I still need, more individual attention on this. It's really nice to be able to go at their own speed.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like when you think about the travel time and you think about the transition between classes and all of that.
It adds up a lot. And I had this, we all have this idea of what school is in our head because most of us attended public school. And so a lot of homeschoolers think that they need to recreate that at home, which is, it's like, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna get your kid to sit at home for 8 hours. Like, it's not possible. And it's also not needed. Like, when they get like individualized focused attention, whether it's from you or you having a tutor or a teacher or a class that you're going to, they're able to like absorb and learn so much easier, than sitting through a lot of throughout the rest of the day, or these other activities that have to happen to get ready for 30 students. Just think about
Yeah.
how much time it takes to set up one activity for a group of 20 third graders, versus at home just you with mom, or even if it's your co-op or your pod of kids, still it's a small ratio
Yeah.
type thing, and other parents involved too. It's a community.
Hmm. Hmm. Share with us how you think. So I want to transition a little bit into parenting, but also still in the same vein of schooling. So if you can share with us the reception of your kids with the homeschooling. I see that in the chat they say it entails lots of coffee.
It does.
So how how challenging is it, like being the parent and the teacher?
The parent and the teacher. It's hard, but it's really rewarding. I think a lot of what makes it hard is the pressure I put on myself, not
Hmm.
necessarily like the pushback or anything that I get from my kids. I think it's more of, as a mom, you wear lots of hats, and I think every mom I know puts a lot of pressure on themselves to, obviously you want the best for your kids. So to me, at least once I add like educator into that, I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that it's, if I'm going to do it, I feel like I have to do it. It has to be great. If she's not going to be in public school, then it's got to be, worth and worth the effort. So it's like, it's, for me, I put a lot of pressure to make things engaging and make sure that we're getting enough work done every day. And I have all these, cool materials or field trips and all these things planned. I think just like balancing it is probably the hard part, for me. Obviously it's not always easy to teach your own kids. They prefer to listen to others in a different way than mom, because you're their safe space, you're their sounding board. So obviously they're going to push back. But I've I've just been telling myself, like that's just a way for you as a family to be closer, because yeah, we both get frustrated. Yeah, we both have days we're like, okay, let's just take a break from this and come back in a little bit. But I think that's just part of it. And that's just part of you being able to kind of grow together as a family and do it together. And I think you just kind of have to have the right mindset and perspective about it.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I feel that not everybody. Um, who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? Moving on, moving on. Um, cool, cool, cool. So, when was it? I don't know if you had already mentioned it, but just in case, um, when were you really introduced to the idea of homeschooling? Did you see it as a child here and there, or or it wasn't until later on?
So, I mean, I knew a few people that were homeschooled when I was a kid, but it definitely wasn't the norm. Like, I grew up in a really rural area. So, once you add homeschooling on top of that, it's really like, okay, where is the socialization when everyone lives so far apart,
Yeah.
and that type of thing. So, I had, I think, a very skewed, like, version in my head of what homeschooling was, just based off of like my childhood experience with it. I started going to the kind academies. Which classes was it? Like a nature play class when my oldest was 3, and I had put her in a pre-K, and it wasn't a good fit at all. And I had researched and researched and researched, and I thought I was just doing what was best. And I ended up pulling her out of there, and someone mentioned Kind Academy to me, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'll try it. And so while this wasn't technically homeschooling, because, in Florida, by law, you don't start homeschooling till they're 5. A lot of people in these classes and a lot of the moms and people that I met were planning on homeschooling or had older kids that were homeschooling. And obviously Iman taught it. And so Iman was just always promoting how wonderful homeschooling was for the kids. And so I was always asking 1,000 questions. I'm sure she got tired of me, like, who is this lady? Asking me all these questions all the time. But she really led the way for me to have confidence and to really think like, okay, I can do this. And from there, she introduced, there's such a big, big community in South Florida. And so it's like you meet one mom and you meet 5 more moms, and then you get in this group and that group. And it's a really great network and a really great support system. So it just kind of started from there. So I would say probably about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's always great to meet like-minded people, right? So especially when you get into something new or something different, and then you meet those like-minded people, um, that's big. That's important,
It's
and
huge.
it
Huge.
it makes the journey a little bit easier. Like we're all in this together
For
as a
sure.
community. So, I like this. I don't know about you all in the audience, but I'm learning here. I don't know it all just because I'm a podcast host.
None of
That's
us know
because I
it
am
all.
a established podcast host with a gray beard. I too learn. I really do learn every episode. Right now we're on episode 39.
That's
Ooh.
awesome.
Ooh. Episode 39, and every single episode I've been able to learn. Even from my family. I've had some of my successful cousins on here. I'd like to think that all my cousins are successful. So I was just trying to say that. But even my own family that I've had on here, I've learned from everybody. So I hope you all are getting some gems and you're getting. Why you gotta roll your eyes in the chat?
I know, that's what I'm looking at.
Like, am I rambling? I don't think I'm rambling. Bess, am I rambling?
I don't think so.
See? Stay tuned, am I? All right. Cool. So we've reached the portion of our show where we say goodbye. So thank you so much. No, I'm joking. We ain't even close to being finished.
Oh, man.
We got so much more. So much more. I love it. So, photography. Speak about that. Is that your passion? Was that a childhood dream, or did you bump into it by accident?
It's a little bit of everything. I absolutely love it. Like, I never pictured myself becoming a photographer. It was always like a hobby, something I did on the side. But it just kind of evolved into my career. My mom gave me a film camera when I was like 12. My mom was always taking pictures and always encouraging that. And so I always had like a camera with me everywhere I went. And I used to take pictures for family and friends. And I would do it on the side just to make like extra money throughout college and that type of thing. And then it just kept evolving from there. And once I had my oldest daughter, I opened up like my official business, and it's grown from there. So this is my 5th official year in business. Woo-hoo, I get to celebrate this year. But my business has grown like tremendously, and I keep learning, and I love it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Have you gone to the painting with a twist?
I haven't.
I haven't. Has anybody here in the chat been to painting with a twist? Not that I'm promoting them. They're not giving me a check or anything yet.
Yeah.
However, yeah. However, that for me was, I'd probably say my first introduction to art as an adult. And in that class, I felt like a kid all over again. Class was in session, and the teacher is painting, and of course, she makes it look so easy. So she gets up there and she's like, "Oh, just do this with the brush, and then just do a big circle, and then blah blah blah." So I'm following, and I'm like, "How come mine don't look like that?" Like, so I
Yours isn't
remember,
supposed to look the same. No.
well, when I had my finished product and I showed it to them, and I was like, "Well, I know mine isn't great," and they were quiet. So I felt like it
No.
was confirmed that mine was terrible. So
No.
I shall
They
stick
should have
to
been like, did you enjoy? Did you have fun? That's all that matters, right? Instead
yeah.
of being like,
Hmm. Yeah, when folks are quiet, it's never a good sign. You gotta watch the quiet people. Anyway. All right. So we've reached the portion of our show where Bess, do you know what time it is?
oh no. Is it color time?
It is color time. See?
You know, put me
She
on the
gets me. She gets my weirdness. See? It's people in your community. Yes, it is color time. For those that are brand new to the show or brand new to this segment, let me give you a little bit of education on what we do in color time. So, I, Blaze, the host, will yell out a random color, and my lovely guest will respond with what that color means to her. So, there is no right or wrong answer. It could be one word, it could be one phrase, it could
time.
be a short story, it could be super spiritual, it could be logical, it could be vague, it could be detailed. Whatever comes to mind because it's your mind. I can't tell you that what you're thinking is wrong. It's what's in
Okay.
your mind. All right. So, with all that said, are you ready?
I guess so. No going back.
Color time. Color time. All right. I'm working on a theme song for that segment of the show, so it's
You
coming
need some
soon.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Child Social will be doing the vocals on that portion, so she knows now. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Color number one, and those in the chat, feel free to chime in if there's a certain color you want to stomp our guest with. Not that I'm trying to stomp her or anything, but um, feel free to throw it in the chat. All right, here to go. Color number one, gold.
Gold. Oh, I think wealth is like the first thing that always comes to mind with gold.
Gold.
Yeah. Do I need to get more in depth than that?
If you would like. Okay,
Okay.
I'll take gold. Gold is in my name, so gold is powerful. Gold means wealth. Yes. All right. Color number two, sort of along those same lines, sort of. Let's go with silver.
Silver. I always think of water, like peaceful
Mhm.
silver. Maybe because of like silver lining.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, that's what comes to mind.
Silver, I think of the loser.
The
You didn't
loser.
win. You
You're
didn't
not
win
first.
first. Yeah, so you
Mm.
lost. But anyway, I have other issues. It's not 9:45 yet.
She did warn me. She said after 9:30. It's after
Oh,
9:30.
9:30. Oh, okay. Blaze after dark. All right. But I like the silver lining. I like that. That's positive and optimistic. Okay. Let's move on. Color number three, bronze.
Bronze. this is weird. The first thing I thought of is like my grandparents, because I have to explain this one because it's weird. Like, you remember how people used to take like baby shoes and like bronze dip them, or I don't know what it really they're dipped in. Have you ever seen that like keepsake, like old timey thing that people used to do? Someone, don't tell me I'm crazy. No, it's like an old country thing maybe. But I remember my grandparents had, I guess, one of my parents like baby shoes, and they look like they were dipped in metal and kept. So whenever I think of bronze, that's what I think of. Babies, which is really weird. Really weird. You would think bronze would be like strong, but
In the chat, does anybody know what she's talking about?
someone.
I'm trying to fake it like I know, but
You're
I
just
really
like, this lady.
castings.
Casting.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I just learned something new. Maybe I should dip my shoes in like gold.
Would take a lot of gold.
Oh yeah.
Said
That
bronze.
If anyone would like to sponsor me with supplying me with gold, so I can test this and see. All right. Before I take this two left. Color number 4. Copper.
Copper. I think of paintings. It's my brain works in a weird way. I think in pictures. So for me to explain the pictures sometimes takes me a second. I think copper. I see like a lot of paintings that I've done. Like they look gilded and they have like golden and copper colors, and I just think of that like contrast of kind of like antique. I don't know how to explain that.
Okay.
I'm just sounding like a weirdo right now, I know.
You
You're regretting this now, right?
No, not at all. Let's continue with the same flow. I'm feeling this flow here. So let's go with green.
Green, I think of forests and life and air, nature.
I think of Jello.
Jello. You had a lot of green Jello as a kid. Ours was always orange.
I saw a lot of green Jello, and when I got older, I felt like the stronger Jello shots were the green ones.
Yeah.
Like they had more.
There were a lot of questionable green drinks in college years. I feel like they were always green.
See, it's a vibe right here, right? All right. Let's continue.
Oh, Tamiko.
She's like, this is not how I planned this. Let's continue. What colors you guys have for me? Nobody got some colors? All right, here we go. Which is the color that I like a lot. I see this color in many places. Let's go with yellow.
Yellow. I always think of flowers and summer and daffodils. It's like buttercups. I grew up in a place where buttercups were everywhere. It was like one of my mom's favorites. So it brings back lots of like childhood.
Buttercup.
Buttercups. Doesn't grow in Florida.
So when they're saying suck it up, buttercup.
It's a flower.
It's a flower.
Yeah. It's a yellow flower.
Mind blown. I thought buttercup was like the Reese's Pieces, like the peanut butter cup. All this time I thought it's been a flower. Wow. I feel like I was lied to. Okay. Word. All right. Let's get two more colors and then we'll get back into the seriousness of the pod. All right. So we spoke about yellow. Um, they have buttercups in England too. Yeah.
That's good to know.
So buttercups are what? Like what kind of? I'm trying to think of what. Like
Like what they look like?
yeah.
A cup.
Like a
No, they're
like a
different.
sunflower, like a rose, like an
No,
orchid.
weird. No, it's like the center part is like a cup, almost like a tube, and then the outside has like the petals. It's the yellow. Yeah, it's a little yellow flower. Tamika's like.
Hmm. Okay. Well, all right. Next color. um, let's keep going. Next color. Let's go with white.
Whites. I feel like I should say like something positive, but like for me, white is just like a blank slate. I'm not the kind of person that looks at a blank slate and likes it. Like I always think about like if I look at a blank white canvas, that's like the hardest part is like getting started. So for me, it's like the like white with nothing, no beginning of anything is like it's like an obstacle almost.
Mm.
That's another way.
I've never heard that. This is the first. I've never heard these answers for white. Never heard these answers for yellow. Hmm.
um,
Again, there's no right. There's
I
no right or
know.
wrong.
Yeah.
But I like that because during this podcast, you say the same colors and then you get guests that say what most people are going to say, right? You say blue and they say the sky. You say green and they say money. So it's
Yeah. I'm like, okay, white. People typically think of like purity or
yeah.
like, and for me it's like the exact opposite. Not the opposite, but new beginning, I guess.
I like what Sasha said in the chat.
Opportunity. That's a good comment. That's true.
Hmm. White could be an obstacle or it could be an opportunity or possibility.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Blank slate.
Depends on your outlook. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I like that. Good job, Sasha. It could become a yellow buttercup. Yeah. I got to figure out what this buttercup is. For anybody watching this podcast, if you love me, shower me with buttercups tomorrow or something. Let me walk out my door and see. Okay. Blaze out the dark. Here we go. All right. We got one more color and then we're getting back into the gems.
Alrighty.
All right. Oh, I just gotta. All right. Cool. Here we go. Final color. I'll give you a challenging one. Final color is peach.
Peach. But that makes me think of like a literal peach and like childhood memories of eating peaches from my grandparents' backyard. Yeah. Peach.
I've never had a peach from someone's backyard.
It's like the best. It's the best. Here in Florida, you eat mangoes from people's backyard, and then you compare those to the grocery store, and you're like, it's the same. It's the same with peaches in the South and strawberries and all of those good Southern things.
Yeah. Nothing beats the real thing, right?
Hmm.
Not that the store is always fake, but less process, less transportation. So, hmm. All right. Well, this concludes color time. Now we're getting right back into things. So, Bess, for those watching who have so many questions and maybe they're on the fence about homeschooling their kids, maybe especially in this COVID season, um, they're toying with the idea. What's not necessarily advice, but just what words of offering would you have to a parent?
Um, that's a good one. I think to just kind of follow your intuition and what you think is best for your kids, if that makes sense. Like homeschooling seems like a huge kind of like mountain to overcome, like to get started and to know what to do. Um, but it's just like with everything else. You figure it out. You figure it out as you go. You have shortcomings in some ways, and then other ways you grade, and you just kind of figure it out and make a plan. And I think that if you know as a parent what's best for your kids, and if you
Mm.
think that that homeschooling and having like more individualized learning is what's going to be best for them, then the rest will kind of fall into place. If that makes sense.
Mm. Okay.
There I get the question a lot, like how do you work in homeschool? And um, I know that I'm very fortunate because I do work for myself. So I know I'm an exception because I do have a more flexible schedule. If things get really crazy for me, I can tell my clients, hey, I'm not booking anymore, which I'm really bad at saying no, but I'm learning to get better. So I know I'm really fortunate in that way. But then there are other people I know who do work 9 to 5s, and they have kids in a micro school, or they school in the afternoons, or school in the weekends, or there are lots of possibilities that I don't think people know that are necessarily out there. I know lots of moms who have teachers come or join pods, or you know do like me and stay up and work really crazy hours late at night so that you can be with your kids during the day. So,
So you've used some terms, and some may know what they mean, but some may not. So you mentioned micro school and pods and different things. So what's the difference?
the difference. So, micro schools are usually like just very small schools. I know some micro schools that are like 30-ish students. I know other micro schools that are like 10 students. Um, Usually they are, in a more traditional setting, like a brick and mortar type school setting. Some of
Okay.
them are at churches. Some of them are done in community centers. Um, a pod is usually more parent led. So a pod would be like if me and three of my mom friends wanted to get together and kind of like a co-op, like share the load of teaching, divide it up evenly, or hire people to come do classes, or set up field trips and learning opportunities and that type of thing. We're in lots of co-ops.
Mm.
Co-ops, and that's like the great thing about our community is you can kind of create, if your child needs something that's not out there, you can just create it. And that's been really empowering, like at least for me. So I hope that
Mm.
answers the question.
Yes, it did. So for pre-K, I went to a micro school. So for pre-K, I went to a school. It was a small school, and it was also associated with a church.
Mm-hmm.
So the our graduation um, was in a church, right? The ceremony, the auditorium was the church.
I did the exact same thing.
Yeah. And yeah, thinking about it, it wasn't a whole lot of classrooms. It may have been in the entire school. I'm thinking maybe 6 classrooms
Mhm.
or something like that total. So, hmm, hmm. See, still learning.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Are there? What has homeschooling and or parenting? Because I know for me, being a parent was life changing. That I thought I knew so much, and then my son came, and it was like, oh,
Yeah,
I've
everything
been
changed.
I've been doing everything wrong.
Yeah.
It's time for Blaze 2.0.
Yep.
So, how has teaching and parenting, how has that changed your life?
Oof. Well, first, I think I could say that parenting has definitely changed my teaching a
Mm,
lot. I think I have a different perspective now after having kids and what I want for my kids. So I definitely think that they have affected each other. Um,
yeah.
and I know that even like when my oldest was like really small, I definitely didn't teach as much because I feel like to be a good teacher, you have to like give a lot of yourself like to your class and to your students, and especially the types of classes that I was teaching and the types of programs that I was in. Just see, you see a lot, and if you're like an empathetic person, it really starts to affect you a lot. And so for me, I had to take a step back for a while and feel like, okay, let me master this parenting thing for a little bit first before I go back out into the teaching world again. And it's definitely, they've definitely affect, like being a teacher and being a parent is definitely made me different than the teacher I was
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Being a parent, it teaches you whether you were ready for it or not. It teaches you patience. It teaches you understanding. Um, and we learn different personalities. And if you have more than one kid, right? You realize that what may have worked well for one kid may not work the same for another,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. You've met my kids. They are polar
they're
opposites of
they're
each other.
different, yeah, very
Yeah.
unique, and yeah,
Yeah.
so all of that. Hmm. Um, definitely, these little humans have such a huge impact on our lives, and as parents, I truly hope rather that parents not only take their job or the task of parenting serious, but but they also bask in it, because many times we get caught up, right? We get caught up in the stresses of life, and we get caught up in, oh, this one is acting up or acting out, or it's such a strain on us financially, and all these different things. But man, like there are certain days where I'll just stop and just observe my son, and just observe his mannerisms, observe his personality and different things he does. Sometimes he's in the room playing by himself, and I can relate because I grew up as an only child.
Me too.
And he's see, and he's
Yeah.
talking with the toys, and he'll ask a question, and he'll answer back, and He'll do the sound effects and all of that, and I'm like, yo, he's having a blast.
Yeah.
He's living his best life right now. So these little humans are so very powerful. So mm, yes. In closing, Bess, what words of encouragement, what gems? There may be people listening who maybe they're lost, maybe they're confused, maybe they are brand new to this parenting thing, maybe they're trying to become a parent, maybe they're ready to give up, maybe they're looking at adoption. So many different things, so many different avenues, and so many different perspectives, right, on parenting. What gems or just what would you share? It could be a favorite quote. It could be a short story. It could be anything. But what would you like to leave our audience with?
Oh, goodness. Don't give me anything hard or anything. Okay. I think, at least for me, and I think that I also probably have a different perspective too, because I'm in all these mom circles where we're all supporting each other and we all vent to each other and we all have, we know each other's struggles and we understand like what it takes to be what we think is like a good mom, a good, and in our case also homeschooler, and all of these things that go along with it. And I think so much of what has really helped me get through it lately is just to um, follow your intuition of be true to yourself, follow your intuition of what is best for your kids, because you're never going to go wrong. You may not know how to do it or how to get there, but if you're doing what you think is the best thing for them, like you'll figure out a way, and you'll make a way. And just also give yourself some grace, because we're not perfect and we're always learning, and we're learning with our kids, and they're constantly changing, and so are we. And I know I've changed a lot since I became a mom. And yeah, you have to give yourself grace within that to grow and change and try to do better every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Life is full of different ways for you to learn, different ways for us to grow. And whether you're a parent or not, there are so many ways to grow. Sometimes it's tough and it brings up pain, and who likes pain?
Oh yeah.
Uh, unless they're tattoos, then that's a different kind of pain. But it's growth is necessary, man. We can't stay stagnant. So grow, learn, and step into that person that you really want to be. Don't hold back. The
Yeah.
time is now. So whether it's homeschooling, whether it's moving, whatever it is, what you feel called to do it. You don't need to have it all figured out. You'll never, no matter how educated you are, you'll never have it all figured out, right? You figure it out on the way. So make that move, make that first step. And I'm talking to somebody, maybe myself, but this is that reminder to go for it, right? The children are our future, man, and walk in love, walk in peace, and do what feels right, indeed. So give it up for our guest, Miss Bess.
Thank you so much.
Perry-Garcia. Yes, yes, yes. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank
Such a
you.
such a kind spirit. Good energy, and it's cool to have somebody. It's good as a weirdo myself to find other weirdos and build a
Like all my
community.
friends are weirdos.
See, there it is. There
That's
it
like a
is.
badge that you wear,
Yeah.
because being normal's boring.
Hmm. Yeah. You can't your impact blending in, your impact following everybody else can only be but so big, right? So I
Yeah.
feel that you tap into your power when you embrace your differences, when you embrace the fact that you're weird, that you may not have the same views or perspective or experiences or hair color or choice of outfit or whatever as those around you. Um, but just know that there's a community of weirdos. You just gotta find them. So all my weirdos out there, I mean, not like weirdos that should be in jail, not those weirdos, right?
Yeah.
But to all my weirdos out there, if you need a community of weirdos, you can hit up Bess and she'll give you a tour. All right. This was the Blaze the Lion podcast. As I always say, peace and love.
Bye.